Hey, welcome to Phoenix Kitchen. Today we're making from scratch an orange glazed Virginia baked ham. Let's see how we did it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is measure out our curing ingredients. This is a very simple cure. It uses salt, it uses sugar, and it uses curing salt. The measurements that you will need will be in the description down below. I'm going to get this all measured out, combined together, and then that weighs, for this particular ham, 37 grams. I need to cut that in half because we actually cure this in two different phases. So I get that split into half. I'm going to go ahead and mark on my container when I'm going to be rubbing in the rest of this cure. So I grab my ham. I've got an 11.5 pound ham here. This is bought from a local farm, has not been cured. We're starting from scratch. We're going to rub in that first half of the cure into the meat. We really want to hit the meat sections and not really worry too much about the fat section because it will not absorb down into the meat. And we're going to put this into the fridge to cure. We're going to let it go for 7 days, flipping this ham every day so that the juices that are absorbed out can be soaked back in. At the end of that 7 days, we're going to rub on the second half of the cure, go back into the fridge, in this case for an additional 11 days. Our total curing time for this ham was 18 days, and that's based on 1.5 days per pound of ham. Once we've aged for the 18 days, you may have a little bit of mold growth. That's normal when you're aging and curing hams. We're going to put that under some running water and just scrub that off with a brush. Then we're going to put this into a cool water bath to really get off all of the excess salt. We don't want the ham to be too salty. It's going to soak out everything that's not needed. We want to make sure that we are fully submerged in that cool water, and we want to let this go for at least 1 to 2 hours to get everything out that we don't need and to balance that saltiness. You can see here the water will be a little nasty when you're finished, but that's okay. We're going to put this ham onto a wire rack, and we are going to pat it dry. We're going back into the fridge for at least 24 hours, but you could go up to 14 days if you want to age it and really intensify the flavors. We left this one in for 48 hours, pulled it out, and got our fire ready to go. Now, we're only going to bring this thing up to 90 degrees because we're only adding smoke. We're not interested in cooking the ham at this point. So we built a very tiny fire. I'm using cherry wood because it's one of my favorites. It's okay to have a little dirty smoke because we need to get as much smoke flavor as we can. I've got this thing turned down as low as I can get it at this point. We're below 150 degrees. We're going to put that ham on at the far end of the smoker, as far away from the fire as you can see there as possible. In ours, that's at least 3 feet away, and we get smoke on the ham. It's starting to look good, and we smoked for about 3 hours, got it up to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. We brought that in and let it rest. You see it looks beautiful with the smoky color. Now we're going to make our orange glaze. That's just going to be simply brown sugar, orange juice, and orange zest. We're going to get that all mixed together and put it all over the outside of that ham. We're going to slide that ham into the oven at 375 degrees, and we're going to bake it until it raises the temperature internally to 145. Normally when I cook, I use an instant probe and just check on the meat throughout the cooking process because I also want to get a look and feel for it. However, here to make sure that I do not overcook this ham, because we're only going to 145 and we're not looking for a dry product, I am going to use my meter thermometers. I'm going to put that in and we're going to set it for the 145 degree mark. That way it will let me know when to come pull this out so that I don't miss it. We'll get this in. I'm assuming it's probably not going to take too long because we'd already hit 90 degrees. And just in the time that we've let it rest and gotten our glaze on, we've only dropped back to around 75 degrees. This thing is going to go into that oven at 375, so I'm assuming probably an hour, hour and a half max to get it up to temperature. All right, it only took about an hour and 10 minutes, and we are at temperature. We've allowed this thing to rest. It's time for us to go ahead and get some slices off. We're going to have this for dinner tonight, so I'm going to cut off some thick slices for us to have ham for our main meat, and we're going to go ahead and roast up some potatoes and veggies to go with this. We'll serve this up nicely and then let this cool down very well in the fridge and firm up. We'll take these big chunks off the bone and then use our slicer to make deli meat the next day. We've plated up our dinner. We roasted some nice little red potatoes and fixed up some green beans, nice thick slices of ham. Made sure we got some of that outer edge with that orange brown sugar glaze. It's a very sweet, crispy, delicious taste, and it's filled with smokiness. Amazing amount of smokiness considering what a short period of time this thing was on the smoker. So we're going to go ahead and cut the rest of this meat off the bone so that we can make deli meat out of this. Ham sandwiches are some of my favorite, so we're going to grab our countertop slicer and get this thing set nice and thin. And as you can see, we end up with a beautiful, beautiful amount of deli meat. Hope you'll give this a try. It is an amazing ham. We're giving away a 5-piece cast iron lodge cookware set when we hit 1,000 subscribers. All you have to do is like a video and subscribe to the channel to be entered in the giveaway.